Hello and welcome to Fix My Deck episode 7. Today we're going to be discussing Magar of the Magic Strings. Magar of the Magic Strings is a 3 mana Rakdos colored Minotaur performer that has an ability pay 1 colorless, a black, and a red, and then you can remove a instant or sorcery card from your graveyard and put it into the battlefield face down. And then that becomes a 3/3 creature. And then whenever that creature deals combat damage to a player, you can create a copy of that card and then cast it without paying its mana cost. And then if that creature would die, it gets exiled. The player who submitted this form said that their deck is too slow, too combo-y, and not fun to play against. They basically said that the turns they go off take a long time, and the deck has a hard time defending itself early on. So I've gone ahead and copied this player's deck list over from Archidect and put it into my Moxfield folder. I've also added a bunch of cards into the sideboard that I want to consider for this deck. Now, my first priority is going to be to try to add some lower cost removal cards because this player was saying they're having trouble staying alive early on. And so having lower cost spot removal will help keep them alive. And then, the ideal play is, say, turn 2, they cast a bit of spot removal. Turn 3, they play Magar. Turn 4, they use Magar's ability. And then they're able to start swinging with that thing and getting more value out of that spot removal. So we'll start with a Braid, and we'll just move that into the main deck. Oh, I also wanted to add in some more one-sided board wipes. This isn't an early play, but we'll add it in right now. Terminate is one I wanted to add in. And then I also want to add in a bunch more loot effects, because loot effects are strong, especially if you have a deck where... Oh, here's another one-sided board wipe. Loot effects can be strong like this in a deck. It can help us get through cards early on. And then, of course, we discard the instants and sorceries. And then we'll have the instants and sorceries to use with Magar's ability. I'm already up to 108 cards. There's also, I wanted to add in, I think Brass's Bounty is worth adding in. Oh, and this one that is either spot removal or a loot effect is good. So I think it's worth adding in these Trailblazers boots for the non-basic land walk, because that's basically just unblockable in EDH since everyone has non-basics. And then this card, Skullstorm, this is one of my favorite cards. We're going to add that into the main deck as a bit of a haymaker / late game board wipe sort of spell. That's a pretty good start. We had some spot removal, a bunch of loot effects, and some more one-sided board wipes. Now I want to start making cuts, which of course is a little bit difficult, but we need to figure out room for these cards. I think Allure of the Unknown is a little bit weak, so let's drop it. Blasphemous Act. I don't think we want symmetrical board wipes since we added in the one-sided board wipes, and we really don't want to be killing Magar in our own tokens, so hopefully we won't need cards like this that destroy our own board now that we have more of that spot removal. Breach the Multiverse is a card that I like. We'll leave it in for now. Glimpse the Impossible is probably better to remove since we want to be casting our commander on turn 3. See, Stinkweed Imp. I don't think we need this Dredge card now that we have some more loot effects in here. I think those are going to work better for us than the Dredge cards. I think the same thing is true for this Thrill Kill Disciple, especially because it's 3 mana and we'd rather cast our commander with 3 mana. When Wildfire Devils enters the battlefield at the beginning of your upkeep, choose a player at random. That player exiles an instant or sorcery card from their graveyard. Copy that card. You may cast the copy without paying its mana cost. I think that's a little bit too expensive, and it's kind of the opposite of what we want to be doing. The Ox, I think this is also something we want to get rid of because we don't really, it's 8 card escape cost, and we don't really want to be exiling that much of our graveyard. It's also 5 mana. I think we really just want to get this deck focused on, getting the commander out after having done a loot effect, and then making a copy of something to Detective's Phoenix, I think, is a similar one. I think it's better off if we don't exile our own graveyard. So we're down to 104 cards. Precious Hellraiser. That card has potential. Bothersome Quasate. This is 3 mana, which makes me want to drop it, but I actually really like this card in decks like this. Sawn Half is a card that I like, but it's usually better to cast it on your own stuff. So I think we should get rid of it. We can get rid of Grave Endeavor because we just don't have that many creatures in our graveyard, or that many creatures in the deck to return from the graveyard. I do think Mana Geyser should go in because this could give us the mana we need to ramp into some of these high mana value spells. So we're at 103 cards, 39 lands. Actually, this Bola Warrior would be pretty cool because this Bola Warrior, it's kind of a weird card, but it's going to let us discard a card, and then if someone only has one blocker, we can make it so they can't block the token that we're swinging at with, because that's such a critical part of this deck, is just getting through with these tokens so that we can use... I keep saying tokens. I don't actually think these are technically tokens. I think these are technically cards. They're face down creature cards. So being able to get through with the 3/3s created by Magar is going to be pretty important. And actually, I think we're going to drop Anger because I'm not sure that it's that important to give these haste. Because basically with Magar, since it is an instant speed ability, you want to use it. You probably want to just wait to use it until the end of the turn before yours. I could be wrong about that. I actually kind of want to add in this Stormkiln Artist. This is a creature I like quite a bit, because if you're casting or copying instants and sorceries, you're going to get treasure token, and that can help accelerate you in that mid game. I also want to add Fury Storm. We added the other Commander Storm card. I really like Fury Storm because it's going to give us, if we've cast our commander once, it's going to give us 1 copy, so it's like 2 extra copies of a spell for 4 mana. And of course, I'm guessing people are going to be killing Magar a couple times in many of these games, so we can get a lot of copies out of this. And then if we get a cast it on, there's probably some busted, Breach the Multiverse or Brass's Bounty or something, we can just get an obscene amount of mana. Of course, that is a little bit combo-y, but Spellslinger decks, unfortunately, they're always going to be a little bit on the combo side. I think Mysterious Stranger we can actually drop. I do like that perk from Fallout a lot, but it's kind of repetitive with the commander. Rather than Swiftfoot Boots, I think we should run Lightning Greaves because we don't really typically care about targeting our commander. So we don't mind that it has Shroud and then has Equip 0, so that way we'll be able to protect the commander the turn it comes down. This one we probably want to drop as well, Excavation Explosion, because it's 3 mana, which is the same as the commander, and a Power Stone is not particularly useful to us. So normally I like that decks have high land counts, like 39 is nice. I'm actually going to cut 1 land. I'm going to cut 1 mountain because we've added so many loot effects in. I don't think it's going to be such a big deal to remove 1, because the loot effects help us get through our deck and find those lands. Mizzix's Mastery is a card we could get rid of if we wanted to make this deck less combo-y, but it's so strong in a deck like this. I had a Kess deck that ran it, and it was really effective. Last One Standing. I think we'll get rid of that just because I'm trying to commit to getting rid of symmetrical board wipes, and this could be a great card to play like early in the game. I mean, stuff like this for Blasphemous Act, it could be decent if the plan was to always play them before our commander comes down, but we really don't want to be casting this stuff so much once our commander is out. Carnage Interpreter, we probably don't want to discard our whole hand, and it's 3 mana, which is the same as the commander, so we're going to drop that one. So let's playtest this. So this opening hand, we only have 1 land. But we got Faithless Looting and a Mana Rock, so let's keep it. So we'll play this mountain, we'll play Faithless Looting. cool. Next turn, oh, I forgot to discard. We need to discard 2 of these cards, so we'll probably discard Spectacular Showdown because we don't want to cast that until later in the game. And we'll exile this card that I don't know how to pronounce, Physis. Okay. So I think I did that all right. So we'll play a mountain, we'll play Charcoal Diamond, we'll draw. We'll play the commander, we'll draw. We'll play this land, and then the plan will be we'll wait till the end of our last opponent's turn. We'll make a token with Magar. I guess we'll create this thing, Theseus, and then we'll draw for our turn. So we'll be able to swing with that, and then we'll want to cast Unexpected Windfall, and maybe we'll discard Garruk's Wake. We'll draw 2 cards, we'll get Treasure Token. We'll play the backside of this as our land for the turn. Oh, actually what I should have done probably is equipped this Lorien Brooch. I probably should have well, yeah, maybe I should have played Tormenting Voice or played this Lorien Brooch and equipped it. But anyways, next turn, hopefully we can just attack through this over and over again with a Lorien Brooch attached to it and keep the board clear and cast like Disrupt Decorum so things can't come our way. I feel like that feels like a pretty good start. It feels like a pretty safe start. I'm gonna try restarting the game. So this has 2 lands and a loot effect. 2 loot effects. I'm confused by the plot ability on this. I guess I'm just bad at Magic. So we'll draw. We'll play this. We'll draw. We'll play this swamp. And we will play Thrill of Possibility. So we need to discard a card. We'll discard Breach the Multiverse. Draw 2. We'll go our next turn. We'll draw. We'll play. That enters tap. So we want to do Mount Doom, play Magar, draw. We'll play this tapped. We'll go through to the end next turn. We'll make Breach the Multiverse a creature. We'll draw. We'll probably kill something with like Bitter Triumph. I guess we'll Highway Robbery first. And we'll discard Skull Storm. And we'll draw 2, I believe. And then play this mountain. And we'll swing with Breach the Multiverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then we'll get some stuff from our opponents. And then we'll make, at the end of the next player's turn, we'll probably make like Plague Wind or Brass's Bounty into one of these. Maybe Plague Wind to guarantee we go through. So that seems like a decent start to me too. Let's restart and try again. It is really hard to know with a deck like this since it's so high in removal. And we'll keep this hand because we got a Mana Rock and we've got this loot effect. But it's really hard to know how well a deck like this is working since it is just removal heavy and you don't really know what the opponents are doing. And if you actually have a relevant answer, we'll play Mountain. I think we'll play Thrill of Possibility. And we'll discard the Fiery Confluence and draw 2. We'll go to the next turn. We'll draw. We'll play Dragon Skull's Tunnel. Call forth the Tempest. That would have been nice to discard. We'll play Magar. We'll draw. We will play this Swamp and this Talisman of Indulgence. So we still have 3 mana. We'll go to our next turn. Or go to the end of the turn before us. We'll make Fire Confluence into a creature. We'll draw for our turn. Then we're going to play Highway Robbery for 2 mana. And discard Call Forth the Tempest. And draw 2. Play Access Tunnel. Oh, that's a strong card. That just reminded me we should put Expedition Map in this deck also. I basically put that in all my non-green decks. So that was a pretty decent start. We'll add in Expedition Map. And actually the beauty of Expedition Map is you can normally remove a land for it. And let's just playtest once more. Alright, we'll draw Smoldering Marsh, we'll draw Mountain, we'll suspend Wheel of Fate, we'll draw Swamp, we'll play Magar. So that went to 3. Draw, this will go to 2. We will play Rakdos Signet and Tormenting Voice. Discarding, I guess this soft consumption. And then we'll go next turn. This goes to 1. We'll draw, play this Bloodstained Mire. I'm just going to be lazy and get a mountain. It's 5 mana. I think we want to play Mindstone and Bothersome Closet. And the next turn, Wheel of Fate goes off. We had quite a few different options there. I mean, we also had like Fell the Profane to cast. I think this too also felt like a pretty good start because we had the early game removal if we wanted it. So let's try one more. This we probably can't keep. It's 1 land hand, so we'll take our first mulligan. Alright, this has a lot of lands, but I would personally keep this just because like we got Collector's Vault, and we can use that to discard the Skullstorm and start playing the Skullstorm, which will be good early on to keep the board clear. So play Smoldering Marsh. We'll play Swamp into Collector's Vault. We'll play Mountain into Magar. We will play probably the back side of this. And then, oh, we should have Collector's Vaulted first. So draw, and then, well, actually, since we have Untimely Function, we'll put this into play. So we won't do that. We'll play Dragon Skull Summit. So that way we have the mana to cast Untimely Malfunction to keep our commander safe. And I forgot to discard for Collector's Vault. And we would discard either Skullstorm or Breach the Multiverse. So next turn, draw. You know, we might have cast Untimely Malfunction to keep our commander alive potentially. We'll play this. We'll do 2 to draw. Play a 3rd land. Go to the end of the last player's turn. We'll turn Skullstorm into this thing. We'll draw. Let's see. We will 1, 2. We'll play Liquid Metal Torque and then draw and discard. And we'll discard this. And we've got this spot removal. So we should be able to swing at someone and then get through with Skullstorm, which will then make people sack 2 creatures. So this feels like a pretty strong start to me too. We'll switch to a new game. So 2 mana and a loot effect. I think we always want to keep those hands. So Flamekin Village, draw, Sulphurous Springs, grab the prize, discard, call forth the Tempest. Next turn, draw Mountain, Magar, draw Talisman, Swamp. That gives us 3 mana to use Magar's ability at the end of our last opponent's turn, and we'll make a call forth the Tempest. We'll play Smoldering Marsh. So now we have good options here. Like, you know, we have 3 different removal spells, so we can help clear out the board to get through with Call Forth the Tempest, and then that'll get cast, and then we can exile. We go a Lightning Greaves and a big score. So an additional cast to cost this spell. Discard a card. We'll discard Skullstorm. We'll draw 2. So all in all, that also feels like a strong start. I feel like this deck is working this way, but it's, you know, it's hard to tell like what playgroup someone is in, and there might be issues here that I'm not seeing. There might need to be Swiftfoot Boots as well as Lightning Greaves in order to keep the commander alive. There might need to be some more early game board wipes, and maybe the strategy of the deck will change a little bit, where you plan early on to cast Blasphemous or Damnation or various other board wipes before the commander comes down. But otherwise, I think the important takeaway here is adding in lots of 2 mana loot effects is the priority, as this will get more things in the graveyard, and then also just adding in, you know, that low mana value spot removal, so you can use that to clear out the board and then get it back into play with Magar and cast it over and over and over again for value. If this was your deck, I hope this was helpful. And if you made it this far, thanks for watching, and like, comment, and subscribe.